Okay, I just pushed this blog post out. I was having a problem getting my application server to run correctly from inside of integration tests. And this blog post will discuss that. It's not using, I want the fully functional .NET web application, not the in-memory only one. This is what that functional application looks like. This is from my Time Warp Architecture template. This is the web server piece. There's other stuff there. But anyway, this is what we expect to show up when I run this inside my test case. So Visual Studio here, let's go to the Test Explorer. I'll show you what I've got. I've got a run forever test, which just fires up the server in this condition so that I can evaluate it. So we're going to hit this here. How I create that is I inject the web test server application, and the web test server application news up a web application host passing in the program file for me, and that web application host will create the program like this, web application builder right here. So this is your code. I pass in web application options, and this is the solution, but I'll show you the broken version first, and then I'll show you the fix. Okay, so but what does that web application objects look like? And this is it here, the web application objects. The answer is passing in this, which is not quite intuitive, but we're going to run it because I didn't know this answer when I started. I did see the web application options. I thought environment name, and there's one more setting in here, would be the solution. But I was just calling it the same way that I call it in this program, and I couldn't figure out, well, if web application create builder here works, well then why doesn't my web application create builder work inside of the test? So quick demo of what that actually looks like. I ran it already. When I run inside the test, I get this unhandled exception error. It's not quite intuitive what the heck is going on, but because of that, I had to debug into the .NET code, because what's there to debug here? This code was the exact same thing, create builder, right? But I did, and let's see where that code is, and we can run that test. I have some web application builder here, and this is the test. This is what we want to step into. So in order to do that, I have to configure the environment to let me step into the .NET code. But let's do that real quick, and this is here is going to be afterwards. And what we're going to see is Test Explorer debug, that run forever. You're going to see loading some symbols and so forth because I have to enable that in order to get into the .NET code. And because of that, oh, I've got it running. I need to kill that or it won't be able to build. So there, it's going to build now. And we're into my injector, which is trying to inject this web application host. And this is the code that we want to step into. So F11 in. Actually, I have some breakpoints set. I went through this like 100 times to try to figure out what the heck is going on. But deep down in here, we're just going to let it run. It's going to hit into the configuration web defaults, static web assets, use static web assets, which is what it couldn't find, right? Because it couldn't find my Blazor stuff, the host file. It's like, what are you talking about? And this is the reason why. Resolve manifest right here. Use static web assets, resolve manifest, and this is using defaults. But remember, I'm running from inside of a test instead of normal from Kestrel. So we go into this guy, and we get this value string here. Resolve manifest. You have to ask yourself, what the heck is a manifest in the first place, right? Well, it is something that gets built by .NET at runtime, which contains some information as to where your project files are, where some resources are, and it basically is going to use that directory to tell you where to serve up the files from. So var candidate equals get value string right here. Let's go into this resolve relative to assembly. See, now that's the trick. Relative to the assembly. And the assembly in this case, if you don't tell it specifically which one, it will be the current one. So what assembly are we looking at? I can get it here in a minute, maybe. Assembly location var base path. Okay, so candidate. Look, you'll see this directory here. We're in the web server integration test bin debug. So it's looking for this web server integration test static websites. But I don't want this integration test static website.json. This doesn't even exist because you don't build this for a test project. You build that for a web project. So this will come back. Interesting comment here. A missing manifest might simply mean the feature is not enabled. I think a throw would make sense here. Misconfigurations will be uncommon given the entire process is automated at build time. Yeah, it's automated at build time but how it gets that value is not automated. Anyway, nonetheless, you can get around it, and this returns the default value, does not throw, which is why I had the problem. So let's go quickly to the answer. Now, I'm just going to stop that. That's the problem after days to figure out. So now let's go back to this. Now, there's another parameter on there called application name. Doesn't tell you the assembly, just says the application name, but it uses this, and you need to set that to the name of your web server. So mine is this web server is where my project is over here, right? So this web server assembly is inside that. That just makes it easy for me to get that assembly. Get name right here. So let's put a break point. Oh, let's take that out and let's run that test again. Run forever debug. Now, when it goes to look for that static resolve the manifest, it's going to look in the assembly of the web server instead. I'll let it continue until it gets into this static, and it's going to be there. Here now, the application name is web server as opposed to web server integration tests. And then that will find it. So when we get back out, we have a candidate here. It looks like this. Now it's going to be in the, still in the runtime. Nope, that's not the right one. Oh, it'll be right because it's looking for web server static web access. Well, so when it builds this thing, it will build these. And this is the guy that actually gets created because the integration test doesn't. And now it will return something. And because it returns it, now it can say use static web assets using that environment, passing in that manifest. And lo and behold, continue, 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 continue. Let it keep going. Okay, there we are. Now it's just going to run forever. Let's go back over here to this is where it was failing. Now we hit refresh, and voila, we actually get the application running. This can run server-side or client-side. Server-side, it uses SignalR, which means WebSockets are working too, which is a solution to what one of Pete's problems referenced in the article. Okay, there we did it.